The year 2024 has been a really challenging one for Nigerian sports, from the struggles at the Olympic Games to the struggles in the FIFA World Cup qualifiers. Nigerian sports has been under an intense spotlight in 2024, but some sports, like Wale said, have shown some promise by planting the seeds of future success, the likes of handball, table tennis, and even squash. This year alone has seen a remarkable growth in the sport of squash in Nigeria. But joining us tonight is the president of the Nigeria Squash Federation, Mr. Boye Oyerinde. He was also, he joined us a few weeks ago. Mr. Oyerinde, thank you so much for joining us tonight on Game On. We've been talking about 2024 and the different sports. And for squash, it's been a quite eventful year. What would you regard as the standout successes for you for squash?
Yeah, first of all, compliments of the season, gentlemen. Nice to be back here.
Same to you.
Well, it's difficult to celebrate without considering what has happened nationally, sports-wise. However, for squash, it's been a different story. It's been a good one for us. We started out the year not quite certain how the year is going to go because of the exchange rate. You know, our closed satellite tournaments, the prize money is in US dollars. And when you look at the exchange rate, you're scared to know, to see how the sponsors would react. However, it's been quite good. We've had a few tournaments in-house. Actually, we've had a Challenger Tour 3 tournament, which is higher than the normal closed satellite tournaments we run. And then I can see the video you have online there. That's Onopemipo Adegoke, who won for Nigeria the very first Challenger Tour 6. That was won in the United States. We had Kehinde Samuel, who won a closed satellite all the way out in Vancouver. Our male and female teams both won gold at the Squash Federation of Africa Championship, and then we just came back from the men and women's World Team Championship in Hong Kong. And the team did very well. Out of 7 matches, we won 4. We narrowly lost the 5th one. We didn't finish as we would love to, but altogether, a fantastic performance by the guys.
Well, you talked about the successes, and it's very clear that these have been very, very encouraging as well. But I'd like to talk about the challenges that you faced in 2024 in putting all this together, and how you plan to surmount those challenges going into 2025.
Well, I think the major challenge we have are 2 major things. One is funding, the second one is facilities. In terms of facilities, we don't have facilities to train with. We're forced to train at clubs. We're fortunate to have the Teslim Balogun Stadium for the players to train. And then also some of our players are training outside the country, so there's not that much dependence or stress on looking for training facilities locally. The second one, which is obvious and I'm sure is not peculiar to squash, is the funding aspect, where it is a struggle. I know that with better funding, we can have better performance from our teams all together. One major one we have is we have not been able to take our juniors out, and I'm hoping that that narrative will change in come 2025. Also, the ladies, they've been marginalized, and that's because we don't really have that many ladies in the women category who play at the desired level, but I'm hoping that narrative would also change come 2025. And hopefully with the new Sports Commission, I'm hoping that it's looking good from the beginning. The chairman is telling us what we want to hear, but we want to see him actually do what he's saying. That would be fantastic for us. Also, squash is now in the Olympics. Come early 2028, yes. Squash is going to feature. And we're definitely hope Nigeria will be represented in that event as well. Okay. As well as also Commonwealth Games. We missed out on the last one because for whatever reason, the ministry would not allow us to participate in it. But I'm hoping also that all that changes with the new Sports Commission in place.
Yeah, I was going to ask, President, we used to have classics, in Lagos, but it looks like we don't have the classics anymore. What's going on? Are there plans with the Lagos state government?
Sorry, we had classic last year. We only missed the classic this year.
Okay.
But that's going to take place next year. But we had classic last year, and it was a really big event for us. We also used the opportunity to assess our officials, and I'm happy to say that one of the officials assessed during the last classic will be representing Nigeria for the first time ever at the British Junior Open come January. Salome Yeli was just invited to officiate at the British Junior Open. That's the first time we're going to have an official from Nigeria officiate at that level, which is a World Squash Federation event.
Hi, Mr. Oyerinde. Good evening, and compliments of the season once again.
Good evening.
Yes, squash is one sport I've been following, a big part. I think you're in your 6th or 7th year as president.
I'm in my 8th year, actually.
Okay, you're in your 8th year. Pardon me for that. And in that period, I think that Nigeria has grown to become at least the second best squash playing nation in Africa, behind Egypt. I think South Africa used to be second. But since you came through, I think we've been able to get South Africa off that perch in second. But I wanted to, because I think that there's this sort of romance going on between the Sports Commission and the Squash Federation. I love it. But I want to ask, because I think the Sports Commission channel was saying that you guys don't do a lot, you don't tell the media a lot of your success. I mean, this year has been a great year for squash. What are your plans in 2025 to ensure that you push out more on squash to the media glare, for those who definitely don't have an idea of the giant strides the sport's making in Nigeria?
Yeah, well, thank you very much. We've had that. What we do and what we've been doing really, when you have limited resources, you make do with what you have. So we do a lot on social media. I'm talking about the YouTube, WhatsApp, and then we send as much out as possible to all the different forums where we have the presence. So, but as noted, we will keep that in mind come 2025, so that we'll have more representation or more visibility of squash in come 2025 and beyond, actually.
Finally, before I let you go, Mr. President, maybe it's because a lot of people actually believe that squash is an elitist sport. It's a big man sport. It's played by retired generals, MD CEOs of companies. Maybe that's why a lot of people believe that they don't need to advertise all the good things that you are doing. How do you plan to change this mindset and also win, like Wale always wants to promote, a new set of younger fans into the sports? I mean, back to the grassroots, to the schools, to pretty much get into the sports.
And to add to your question, so that we make it one whole package.
The double barrel.
The women, getting our women interested.
True.
I mean, driving this from the schools, because it's not just a squash problem. It's a problem across board. The quality of the women's game doesn't compare with what we see, or what we expect from the women is not exactly what we get in terms of quality. So how are you going to drive this from the school to get the women interested, so that we can begin to churn out talents for the women?
Well, thank you for that observation. Like you said, it's not peculiar to the game of squash. We've tried a couple of things. We've tried getting to the roots, trying to organize these from schools. And then again, we've arranged to have the kids. And then the biggest challenge came to, okay, you have a coach attached to such a school, you have the kids, you have the facility. Now you need to be able to pay the coach to either be able to go to the facility, or the school needs to be able to provide a vehicle to bring the players to the squash facility. It's been a bit of a challenge, because we need to have the resources to be able to fund the process. Different stages. in terms of squash being elitist, I think we're beginning to change that narrative. It's a misconception, really. Everybody plays squash. I can appreciate why they say squash is for the elite, because if you look at the exchange rate today, an average squash racket, a good one costing about $60, in those days would be about, what, 75,000 naira. Now, if you pick a $100 racket and you're looking at 170,000 naira or 165,000 naira, and you could get into the squash court and hit that against the wall and it cracks. How do you explain that? Who pays for it? That's why some people think or have that misconception that it is an elitist game. What we've tried to do, and we did that in 2019, I believe, and then we did again in 2021, we actually gave squash rackets and goggles and balls to all 37 states. The idea was to have the kits at a designated squash facility, and then players will come in and they don't need to own one racket or balls. They just use it. They come in, use it, and then the person in charge keeps it ready for use the next time. That was then. I'm sure the rackets are probably all broken now. So we need to keep doing that to start with. And then one of the things we also did when we came in then was we actually reached out to one of the manufacturers, and they actually gave us squash rackets that would have cost us about $100 a piece for $45, just to encourage the growth. Again, $45 4 years ago is not the same today. So it is tough, but we're trying and we're doing the bit we can to make sure we make these kits available to just anybody that wants to be a part of the game at the facilities, and not forcing them to buy. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll be speaking with Mr. Boye Oyerinde, who is the president of the Nigeria Squash Federation. Thank you so much for your time. And I think it's fair to say congratulations on what the strides you have made with the sport this year. And the head is hoping that 2025 you can quadruple those efforts in order to ensure that we are pretty much possibly might knock Egypt off the top perch in Africa. But thank you so much for your time, sir. It's always a pleasure having you.
Thank you so much. Good to see you guys again.
Okay.